we are at the SIPEC conference, the Stanford India Conference, led by none other than Professor Anurag Mairal. We've known him from many years as one of the shining professors here at Stanford and helping out Indian diaspora, of course. So that is something we do really appreciate. Welcome to U.S India TV. It's a privilege covering this wonderful conference with awesome speakers, great audience and whatnot. So can you give out some highlights about today's speakers?
Yeah, so this conference is run by a student club called SIPEC, Stanford India Policy and Economics Club. I'm a faculty mentor. And the purpose of this conference is really to bring India and US together, US India partnership, and especially with the next generation of leaders in mind.
As India is racing towards becoming the world's third largest economy by 2030, and the US India ties are becoming stronger, this mission of SIPEC has not been more important to the community. And with this idea, we started this inaugural conference last year, where we brought this people from Stanford as well as the wider Bay community under the one platform to champion the idea of bringing India to the world stage.
What we're trying to do here is bring a lot of these leaders of the industry and academia, of venture capital, close to our students and create a community basically so that we can develop and train and educate this next generation of leaders and strengthen US-India partnership. We have had an amazing panel. We started with a panel on democracy and evolution of democracy in India. Very robust panel with Annamalai and J. Deepak and a couple of folks from the other side of the aisle, Ghansham Tiwari and Varghese George, who's the Hindu editor. Really robust debate, very vigorous debate, but very civil debate.
Our constitution is amended about 106 times, 106 times till now. And post 2014, we have done it 8 times, starting from 99th Amendment, 100 till 106, which each of those single amendment has actually strengthened the constitution, taking the constitution forward, so that what you mentioned about the preamble of the constitution, it is strengthening.
Now, a lot of people tend to draw a mischievous parallel between the Jinnite position and the Hindutite position to say both of them are actually two sides of the same coin. They are not. Because if that were to be the case, then the fact of the matter is, in the last 11 years or since 2014, we should have seen waves of that particular movement resulting in displacement of people who don't share India's civilizational identity. If anything, on the contrary, what has happened is those who belong to or who are adherents of India's civilizational identity have come under greater attack in the last 11 years.
How many of us here can ever be here if our parents did not have basic assets to fulfill our education? And it is there the idea of socialism versus crony capitalism come in contest. And when in politics the power of money rises, that contest becomes much more significant.
The creation of a constitution is through extraordinary politics. When the adoption of the constitution, Dr. Ambedkar says civil disobedience was good until today. But now that we have a constitution that is we have given to ourselves, we the people, the sovereign, has acted and we given to ourselves. There is no longer do you have the liberty of civil disobedience. That should be junk. That should not be a legitimate way of doing politics.
Namaskar, we are at the Stanford India Conference at the Stanford University, and joining us is none other than one of the partners for the conference, Diaspora, and Diaspora's founder, M.R. Rangaswamy, is right here with us. Welcome, sir. It's always a pleasure to see you. How's the feel today?
Oh, the vibe is great. The energy is palpable. I mean, all the sessions have been hotly debated, discussed. The crowd is mostly inside the room, which tells you how good it is, because a lot of events you go to, most people are outside the room. So great energy, great vibe.
Trump is serious on the China plus one game, but pure economics will not do anymore. It has to be much more than that. It has to be a deep, cohesive relationship based upon mutual understanding and not just tariff and transactional conversations. So I hope I've communicated the sort of sense that we have here in India. I believe in a very strong India-US relationship. I believe India should work very closely with the West. We've all been very happy with the close working between the West, between the United Kingdom, between the US and India. But I think that what we are asking for again is a fundamental commitment to a strategic cohesion between our two nations.
Hello everyone, we have Saket Modi, the co-founder of Security, a digital business risk management organization that has also helped India in their mobile payment system, which is based on Aadhaar. Welcome to Your India TV with me, Jasleen. How's the feel at the Stanford India Conference?
It's incredible. India is rising. It's the common theme.
So you've been here as a panelist. I saw you on different panels and you've been interacting with so many different people. What do you feel is the key takeaway so far?
I think the key takeaway is this massive optimism around India, the positioning of India globally as a very clear superpower. Remember, we've been having multiple people talk about U.S, China, and India are going to be the key three superpowers. There are 180 countries in the world. So we've gone to that point where what can we do to go ahead and actually cement our space, not just in the top three, but how do we leapfrog to going to number one, because Chinese economy doesn't seem to be doing very well and US has its own issues. So one, we are already at the top three almost in terms of GDP, but the year over year growth that we have is actually the most exciting, and given our relationships with China, US, and frankly rest of the world being so positive, positions us in a very, very, very strategically incredible place for us to be a very significant power in the near future.
More strategic collaboration on building the supply chains. Bulk of the battery manufacturing, bulk of solar panels, etc. are still manufactured either in China or by companies that are directly controlled by the Chinese companies. And so this is where a more strategic collaboration, not just between US and India, but also in Quad, like US, Japan, China, US, Japan, India, and Australia. Also allied countries like Indonesia that are mineral rich, coming together and creating more secure supply chains is also equally important.
We've had a session on sustainability. We've had a session on defense and security. The Pahalgam attack came up multiple times in the session. Very emotional. People have been feeling very emotional. We had 2-minute silence around it. We had our Deputy Consul General spoke earlier today as well. And then in the we had a roundtable discussion during the lunch, as you can see the topics. And those roundtable discussions were on range of topics from healthcare to statecrafts and strategy to roles of NGOs. So it's pretty robust discussion, very broad-ranging discussion. We've had more than 200 people attend. It was oversubscribed, so we ran out of space. So it's been a very successful event. I mean, last year, as you remember, we had a pretty good event as well. This is kind of taken that to the next level. Afternoon sessions are about venture capital, about technology innovation, AI for health, and healthcare. Health technology innovation is going to be part of it as well.
The place where the private sector and the public sector meet, and which is really, if you look at it, that's in accelerators at research institutes, like tier 1 institutes. IIT Chennai has a good one, IIT Bombay has a good one. So that's the part where I think the government can invest. And in fact, the current budget had something called Deep Tech Fund of Funds, money set aside, which is about $2.5 billion. So some of that investment can go into these spaces to set up computing centers where you can give access to GPUs or compute platforms that are not easily available to new startups coming up, right? So I think that those are the places where we can make a difference in terms of infrastructure that can help AI.
The middle class definition of India has now really widened, and because of that, there are a lot of requirement that they have in terms of having the medical devices at the fingertips to do the diagnosis at home. So from all this perspective, I think MedTech definitely sounds like a good opportunity on the horizon for people to go and invest and entrepreneurs to go and do some good innovation so that it can still stand well on a global impact.
Having the engagement of the state government in raising their hands and saying, these are the 5 areas which are critically challenging for our state, and we will support the entrepreneurs if they show a promising solution early on.
You are traveling the world and you are covering so many conferences, attending to Indian diaspora, across the globe. So what's the latest and the greatest as per your recent experience?
Well, we just conducted a Davos-like event in Abu Dhabi just 2 months ago. We had 500 global leaders from 34 countries all come to discuss issues like climate change, philanthropy, AI, healthcare, digital public infrastructure. So really trying to make the Indian diaspora, the 30 million of us who live outside, to both connect with themselves but also connect with India and be a force for good.
So what do you think are the key takeaways from today's conference?
I think what we see is a healthy India growing stronger and becoming bigger in terms of its GDP, and the diaspora willing to help, willing to support, and also doing well. So it's a great synergy when everybody's doing well. You help each other and you become greater.
What's the message to all the viewers of Yo India TV who will watch you worldwide?
I think the Indians, the diaspora, really have the opportunity to give back. We're so successful in not just the US, but in Canada and the UK and Singapore, Dubai, Australia and so forth. This is our time to shine by giving back to the countries you live in or giving to India.
And that asymmetric strategy involves expanding Indian naval power. India does not have the capacity of what is called sea denial, which is what would get the attention of the PRC, because so much of the hydrocarbons that the PRC relies on comes from the Middle East, and there are important choke points that it faces in transferring those hydrocarbons back to the mainland. This is where India should be investing and developing far better capabilities to, in the event of a crisis, to make the PRC pay an extraordinarily high price on the high seas.
So in the digital space, what are the key risks that you see and how are you playing a key role in overcoming them?
So I think the future is going to be a technology-driven economy, technology-driven world. There's no two ways about that. We already saw that when the advent of mobile phones in the 1990s, social media and the internet in the early 2000s, and then of course you've had the whole view around social media and now AI in a very big way. So when you see all of these waves which have been fueled fundamentally using technology, I think securing technology becomes almost as important as securing our own lives, our own businesses, our own environments. It's all equal, if not more important, as physical security is. So that is how important strategic cybersecurity is. It's a $200 billion market growing at 15% year over year. What we do is we help companies look at cybersecurity risk in a more objective way. So we tell a company what is the risk of ransomware, what's the risk of data exfiltration in a real-time data-driven way using agentic AI. So that's what we've been doing. We've been very lucky that we've been growing pretty fast. We started selling 4 years back. Every year we've grown over 100% year over year. We've raised over $100 million and today serve some of the largest names in the world as customers.
The Ujjwala scheme basically gives a free cylinder to these households in the country, and that scheme by itself increased LPG gas consumption in India by 20%. Why is this important? It's a win-win-win-win, I don't know how many win situation. You have ladies in these rural households who are cooking with fuel wood from the forests, so they had to spend time to collect the fuel wood. They were suffering under the pollution in their chulhas. The country was, we are estimated to about 1 lakh annual deaths attributable to such cooking pollution in India. Deforestation, 1.5 million hectares of deforestation attributed to fuel wood. Pollution, you had life of the ladies in the household spent collecting fuel wood and cooking, no time left for themselves. Just by increasing the LPG consumption, the total gas-based cooking in India increased by 20%. This if you totally eliminate it, is expected to can potentially reduce Indian greenhouse gas carbon dioxide emissions by 200 million tons. It's not going electric, it's just going to LPG.
And I saw the ex-CFO of Infosys, Mohandas Pai, also graced the occasion, and people are all around him. I'm still seeing people are taking pictures, so a lot of dignified speakers, esteemed people, and people are really feeling very happy, and they're trying to get a 1:1 interaction with them as well. So any message to all the viewers of Yo India TV on success of this conference and your future outlook?
Yeah, so it's been a fairly successful conference, and you talked about Mohandas Pai, who's been a phenomenal leader in technology, CFO of Infosys, as well as venture capitalist Pranab Pai. We have had a number of political leaders, members of parliament, and national spokespeople for Samajwadi Party, and so on. And then Ricky Cage just spoke. He woke up at 3 a.m. to do this. And we have Dr. Sriram Nene speaking as well. Dr. Sriram Nene and Madhuri Dixit Nene have been major champions of SIPEC. And it's so my message to your viewers is that they should really engage with Stanford Community, especially with SIPEC Community. We do have events throughout the year. Participate in them, and reach out to us if you want to figure out how. Some of you who may be able to support these through resources, we are looking forward to engaging you with that as well.
And most people in Delhi sitting in JNU don't even look at data and bemoan the lack of employment. In the south, we have no people for employment. People come from the north to come because UP is now growing, and it's very good, and we want UP to grow. Bihar is yet to grow. We get people from Jharkhand, West Bengal, which is a failed state, and Kerala, etc. They all come to Bangalore and the south to work, and we have a shortage of people. And India's population is growing at 0.8%. Fertility has come to 2.0, below replacement rate. Whole of the south is 1.6 to 1.7. And we have 1,020 women for 1,000 men. We have more women than men in India. And today the good news, we have more girls in school than boys.
Hello everyone, Suhani Jalota was one of the panelists today, and she has been helping women in India. She's a reformist, and particularly in the healthcare space. She has taken a lot of interest to progress the economy forward. Welcome to Yo India TV with me, Jasleen. First of all, how's the feel at Stanford India Conference?
Yeah, thanks, Jasleen. It's been great. We're learning a lot here, especially with all of the other work that's happening in the business space across sectors, because I come in from the academia and civil society space. We're learning a lot from VCs and businesses about how India should be reforming and how we should be creating our trillion-dollar companies. I think I just wanted to highlight just how these companies should also be coming from India 3 and many of the lower income groups in India for which there's often less opportunity.
We can use a lot of influence of AI and technology today. We can train the technology using local people, employing them in their own solutions. So an example of some of the work that we do, we're trying to create solutions as part of the foundation I run on women's sexual reproductive health. Now queries like, mujhe operation karana hai, which means I want to get an operation done. Now the technology AI, ChatGPT cannot understand that what she's referring to is a hysterectomy. She wants to get her uterus removed. But she cannot give more context than that because that's all that she can actually say. The technology has to be able to understand that. How can it understand that? If we train the technology using her voice amongst a million other such voices. Each of those queries that women are using to train the models is a form of providing them with local gig work employment.
Tell me about your contributions to the 10 million diaspora, Indian women diaspora, and how you think that your teeny tiny steps will go a long way in making the transformation possible.
Yeah, absolutely. So we believe in women's agency overall, which is how can we give women control over their bodies and their finances. And often, we are a drop in the ocean, as you mentioned, really, we're doing peanuts. But what we recognize is that if women have control over their money and their finances, they can actually start transforming their households and entire communities. And we've seen entire evidence for this. So we run some field experiments on the ground where we're working with women. Now we work with about 2 million women across urban slum communities in India. And here we're providing women with the ability to find digital jobs as well as take control over their own health from home, so essentially from their smartphones. And now as women are getting access to technology, we're starting to see that more and more women are able to start using it and ask very private, confidential questions for which they normally would not be able to get answers to otherwise. And now with opening up, you start to become like a MENA. So the organization that I have is called MENA Mahila Foundation. We want Mahila to speak up like the chatty MENA bird. And just the way that we're empowering these women here, we recognize that by serving as role models, in fact, with the Indian diaspora, we're seeing many other women join this movement. They want to be mentors, they want to be role models, they want to support these women back in India as well. So we're seeing a lot of momentum, and I think women support a lot of other women. We're trying to get many of the men on board as well to be able to support as male champions for this cause.
Wonderful, and I love the representative name, and all the best for your organization, and truly appreciate all the efforts in bringing the women revolution in India.
Thank you so much, Jasleen.
Incredible product, and because they built and that was a product-led growth motion which was out there. Unfortunately, from India, you can count on your fingers how many B2B software companies have really come out and scaled beyond 100 million ARR, right? It's very unfortunate. But on the other side, the products also on the B2C side of product-led growth have not been there. So I would say forget about India, no India, what do we do about that? Just create a product which people will basically say, I'll not allow you to take it down. And if we start from that, that's 99% of it. 1% is what's your domicile, and of course it's great if you list in BSE versus NASDAQ, but that's just how I think about the product.
So give us some more insights into that mobile payment strategy, in which you played a key role back in India, when it was just getting on to an Aadhaar-based strategy.
Well, it was UPI, the Unified Payment Interface that the government of India was launching. This is before the launch of the BHIM application. We did the end-to-end security. I remember presenting to the Prime Minister's office, to the Reserve Bank of India, because we were responsible for doing the security assessment along with NPCI, the National Payments Corporation of India. So we very closely worked with them, very, very proud of the work that we were able to do, because getting over 100 banks on one platform to be able to do push and pull payments in real time sounds like science fiction even today in the United States of America. This is something that India has unlocked, something which is not there in any part of the world available. And I think that really leapfrogged the engine which unlocked economic fluidity in across the country.
So what happened is when I first started, there were only 150 million internet users, 50 million of which were mobile, and 100 million coming on landlines. And that quickly changed. And the cost per GB equation was very, very high. And so 70% of our audience for Dance with Madhuri was outside of India. And I learned a lot building that startup. In 3 years, we went profitable, EBITDA positive, we scaled. And in the pandemic, we went 7x revenue and got a buyout offer. And I got an exit. But the other thing in stealth is we were building Pathfinder, which was a longevity solution. And our belief was that if we could put a doctor in people's pockets who could act as their liaison for life. And, I found myself, we've been using AI right now, and I've been playing incessantly. We're building agentic AI. We're building all kinds of different widgets and protocols. But the idea is to become a lifestyle architect rather than a healthcare provider, because health is part of life. And the idea is that you need to help people walk 10,000 steps. And many of the people who are building these things have never done that. And I had the privilege of sharing in 20 years of people's journeys, almost 10,000 cases, and, saw people at their worst and helped them to get to their best.
I think biometrics has made it simple, but a lot of mobile phones are still old design. I mean, not everyone has iPhone and modern technology where biometrics
You don't need
enabled
biometrics.
security can be enabled. So yeah, that's my question actually. Like, so what are the key security considerations or verification methods that you would recommend as an expert?
India today has over 800 million SIM cards which have smartphones. The total SIM cards are around 1.1 billion SIM cards. So 800 million smartphones, right? And that's already in India today. That's over 2 times the total population of the United States. So smartphones are not a problem. It's now there in pretty much every village in India. On the smartphone, when you download the Bheem application, it actually increases the degree of authentication. Typically, you do 2-factor authentication. Bheem goes through 3-factor authentication. First, it actually locks the device ID, then looks at your mobile number, and then has a 4-digit PIN that you need to enter to be able to do the transaction. So it's actually more secured than 99% of the financial services ecosystem, while being less frictional, and that's the reason it's become so popular. I mean, we took over in terms of transaction volume in India. We do UPI and Bheem already took over what all of MasterCard and Visa do combined in terms of volume of transactions, and that's an incredible feat which is not available any part of the world.
A proper USA and India collaboration, 50% Stuart, 50% me. And that particular album got very commercially successful in 2021 when we released it. We got nominated for a Grammy Award. And even after we got nominated for the Grammy Award, Stuart and I had not even met each other in person, and such was the pandemic. Finally, we got to meet each other a few days before the Grammy Awards. It was pretty nice because it was an emotional moment for me, because we had gone through so much together through the pandemic and through creating this album. We had become very, very close friends. Even though I call him sort of like a father figure, he would say more like an older figure, because he's got children who are older than me. But nevertheless, we did this collaboration together. We got nominated for the Grammy, and then after that, we ended up winning the Grammy Award together. So that was a beautiful India-USA collaboration when it came to music.
So what's your message to all the viewers of Yo India TV who are watching you worldwide?
I think time for, in true sense, for Indians to be able to leapfrog, given the geopolitical uncertainty in the world, this almost creates the perfect storm for an Indian to shine today. Unfortunately, while I have some great Chinese friends and they're extremely smart and extremely hardworking, with everything going on with China, it doesn't make their lives easy in the US. Of course, the same is the case with a lot of Russian friends of mine. India is on the opposite end of the spectrum, where everybody looks up to them now. They look up to the intelligence, the sheer grit and hard work, especially when they're in the US, because it's generally the best of the best which has actually come to the US. And that's why you see the average income of an Indian in the US is 3 times more than an average American, because of the incredible impact we've been able to make. So perfect storm, perfect time, and as they say in India, mauke pe chauka is what needs to be given to make things happen. And I'm very excited about the future of India, not just in the US but across the world. And I'm very fortunate to be able to play a small role in that.
Thank you, Saket. Thank you for wonderful insights, and I hope you'll make good use of the great environment that we are in here at the United States, and leapfrog with the times into enhanced technology, enriched data techniques, and the overall environment, I would say, is all conducive for all of us to progress. So hoping for the best, and thank you so much, Saket, again.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.